Over 9 million tons of glass gets tossed into the landfills every year. And as a DIYer or a crafter, some might call us hoarders for saving such things. I know we don't need that type of negativity in our life, but I believe we are doing our part to help the world one project at a time. And today I'm going to be sharing multiple ways you can upcycle your stash and put it to home decor use. Starting with 3 easy ways to reuse pieces you might have laying around your house that don't really require much effort. For this idea, you could absolutely grab some fabric. I collect doilies, so I'm going to use this old doily that happens to be just a little bit bigger than our glass bottle. But we're going to pinch it in the center, so this way it actually fits on here. So when I open the piece up, it fills the whole glass center of it. Then I'm going to take some of Dollar Tree's metal ribbon. If you want to use regular ribbon, if you want to use twine, you can go right ahead. And if you struggle to find this at your local Dollar Tree, I know my Hobby Lobby usually has this as well. I'm going to cut it down to size, and then I'm going to take the doily, pinch it back in the center, and place the metal ribbon right over where I have it pinched, so you cannot tell that it's folded over at all. Now people, obviously if you have a doily that fits perfect, you don't have to do the whole pinching situation or fabric. If you cut it to size, you'll be good. But if you do have to do this, it's been my experience that as long as that metal lace is snug around the glass, you don't need any glue. You're welcome to use it if you would like to, but you can just pinch it over to the side like this, and it stays snug in place. And then when you get tired of looking at it, it's easy to take apart and redecorate it another way. I have a lot of little unique pieces of glass with some paint on them sitting around, and sometimes I get tired of looking at it, and sometimes I love the way I painted it. And if you're anything like me, you don't want to get rid of your pieces, so one way to revamp it and reuse it without repainting over it, especially if you think you might want to use the color again, is to take some fabric. This is just some lace I thrifted at Goodwill a while back. I ripped it down into a strip, and I'm just wrapping it around. I'm not gluing anything on here. I'm wrapping it around our piece and then tying in a little floral piece, adding a bow. You could absolutely pop in some lights in here if you would like, or you could put the greenery inside of the piece. The two-tone of the paint still enhances the look, but you don't see the wavy piece on it anymore, and it gives you a whole new way to utilize something old that you DIY'd without actually having to change it, in case you want to reuse the old style you created another time. For this glass upcycle, we're going to need to find us a napkin, and not just any napkin to do. You need to find the most perfect one for the decor you got going on. I decided to go with this one, and we're going to paint our cork on our little mini wine bottle. I'm going to paint it black to match the napkin. If you don't want to keep your cork, you don't have to. You could put florals in here. I decided to keep mine on here, so I'm painting it to match the napkin. Next, I'm just going to open up the napkin and then take my scissors and cut a wavy strip out. You could absolutely, if you got fancy schmancy scissors, you know, them joints that got, you know, the wiggly bits. I don't own any of those. So I made my wavy lines, you know, by hand, like most crafters do. And I did this on both sides. I also decided to leave that sneaky layer on the back. If you want to take that off and just have your top decorative layer, you go right ahead. Next, we're going to need to bring on the iron so we can flatten this sucker out. I'm only going to put this on like medium, you know what I'm saying? We don't need it to be super hot, and I like it on low when I'm like ironing candles, but I'm gonna need to get the crinkles out of this. And I'm just using a piece of parchment paper, folding the napkin in there, and then just going over it a couple times. If you don't want to use a napkin for this, by all means use fabric. I'm always looking for ways to give everyone ideas to use napkins for things. I love me some decorative napkins. Now all we're going to do is just wrap it around here And I'm taking a piece of tape and taping this sucker on here, people. You could absolutely decoupage it on here if you want, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how you can reuse your little wine bottles or your little glass bottles and take different napkins and put them on as you see fit for the seasons. Next, I'm just grabbing my little box here full of decorative keys, and I picked one, wrapped it around with a little bit of Dollar Tree's nautical rope, and nothing is glued down. You can completely remove everything and redecorate this bottle as you would like. I'm all about grabbing me some unique glass pieces and holding on to them to upcycle whenever I find them. So when I seen this at a local wholesaler for $1.99, I had to pick this joint up because I actually had an idea for it. The material reminds me of cement. And I really like that decor look, but I hate working with actual cement. It's dusty, messy, and I usually have to wear a face mask, which I'm never crazy about when I gotta do. Lucky for me, I have some of this DIY paint in the letterpress gray color. If you don't have a DIY retailer, my friend Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs is one, and I usually keep her link down below. Now I'm sure there are other gray colors you could get, but I'm gonna be using this and popping it on here with a pouncer. Just tappity tap tap tap, and I applied a full layer before I decided whether or not I needed more onto this piece. This paint usually gives good coverage, and if you're trying to create a look that's similar, try buying gray chalk paints. I can use Waverly and add a little bit of baking soda to it, and it'll also give you similar looks. I just know that this paint usually gives me a really cool cemented effect and love how it turns out. Just a creative way to upcycle some glass and turn it into a faux of something else entirely. A little something about me is I am a vintage mason jar collector, especially anything that's kind of rare. Mason jars were created in the mid 1850s and since then have been used for so many things, but the main purpose was for home canning, to preserve food. Today you can find inexpensive ones at Dollar Tree like this to DIY with, which I do often, or do like I also do and hunt for gems like these old joints to reuse and create some unique decor with and sell. This beauty we're removing has a zinc top, just like this one right here. I found this at a thrift store. These are called mystery jars. And we're gonna create one using a bunch of little goodies that I collect, but the fun in these is what's inside, and the rarity with the mason jars usually depends on the type of jar, the number on the jar, and the lids that you have. And in the event you're wondering where's the number, usually they're on the bottom of the jars right here. And the rare number you want to look for, my friends, is the number 13. The lore states that moonshiners who were superstitious or buyers of moonshine that were superstitious would destroy any jars with the number 13 on them. I know, right? But we're not going to do any of that. We're going to buy all of them and make crafts. But people, don't feel like you can only make these if you have the vintage joints. I'm just kind of bringing you into some of the stuff I love and educating you on some of the things that I know about mason jars. I love these pieces. You could absolutely take this idea, remixing it using the Dollar Tree ones. I'm putting some vintage pieces in here that I collect and some crusty bits. This is a great idea also for kids' birthday parties. Stick some fun toys in there if you're feeling extra giving. Pop a couple quarters, you know, a couple dollars, and let them go fishing and see what's in the jars. Baby showers, wedding favors, just a great idea to kind of have little something something for people to go fishing inside of a jar and keepsakes. That's always so fun for me going through these whenever I purchase them. Sometimes they can get really pricey depending on what you're putting in there. Not sure if you guys have checked out the price of vintage marbles lately or these wood clothespins, but all the stuff I'm popping in here is not cheap, okay? But I make these for reselling purposes and I buy them because depending on the jar and what's in them, I like looking through them myself. I'm a grown adult and I like vintage toys for adults. mind your business. Anyhow, when you're all done going through your jar and you just want to use it as decor, grab you some ribbon, grab you some twine. Right here, I'm just taking some pretty lace that I have, tying it up, and I decided to go one a little bit further and pop a bird's nest. Oh, I love this little piece, people. Absolutely love this. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to be making your own little mystery mason jars at home. We are going to get a little artsy fartsy with this beautiful wine glass that my friend held on to for me to upcycle. Absolutely love the etchings on this glass. It's stunning. Now, I normally skip this part in videos and just kind of tell y'all like I remove the sticky stuff, but this one actually gave me some trouble. So I want to share with you how I go about that because everybody does it differently. Normally I use a heat gun and it just peels off and everything's right as rain, but this one wasn't. So a lot of times there's different methods you can use. I just take a little bit of Dollar Tree's hand sanitizer and I'll smear it all over whatever ick is left on the glass. Let it set there for like 2 minutes. And then I will come back with my little scraper, give it a scrapey scrape, and then I'll take it to the sink with some hot water and a dish sponge and give it a wash, and it comes pretty clean. What do you think? We're going to create an ombre look on this glass, and that is going to require us to use at least 2 paints. And these are the 2 that I'm going with. I'm going to use a pouncer. I'm going to tappity tap 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 one color all over one whole section, and then I'm going to take the other color and come back in at the top to where they meet. Make sure that if you're going to be painting on glass that your paint is glass friendly. A lot of times it says it on the directions. I like to stop when I get to this point when I can see that there's a visible gap between the 2 paint colors. And then I'm going to start the blending process. You'll need to bring in a 3rd pouncer. You'll have the one with your one color and one with your other color. And then you have what I like to call your blending brush. If you're using a paintbrush, I'm using pouncers here, and I'm spraying it with a little bit of water. And I'm just going over where the 2 colors meet. I'm just tappity tap tap tapping until they blend. I do have a napkin you cannot see off to the side. I continued to press, making sure I took the color off as it became saturated with both colors. So this way, every time I tapped and blended, it wasn't getting more white on one side. It wasn't getting more of that agave on another side. And then I did take some of the paint and sprinkle it down over top of our raised sections to just help the blend better. You can leave your piece like this if you would like. We're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to grab a dotting tool. And I've shared this a lot over the past couple years. I've literally painted glass and completely etched designs in through the paint. Chalk paint and multi-surface work really well to be able to do this. I decided that I was going to take the dotting tool and just carve out the larger sections where the design was. So this way some of that clear glass was popping through. If you notice that some cure has taken place with your paint and it's a little difficult to use the dotting tool to etch it, you can squirt some water off to the side or use a little bit of water, however you want to do it. You see me squirt some on the table, right? And I'm just dipping the tip in, and it's just kind of moistening that paint and allowing me to peel it back up in the sections. You can get as precise as you would like as with this, or you can keep it messy. It's entirely up to you. Like I said, for this project, I only wanted to do the large sections, and I was completely happy once it looked like this. For this next part, I'm going to take a section of this TDS Decoupage tissue paper and cut out to put in the front of our decorative bottle. You can absolutely use a napkin or whatever you would like. I decided I wanted to use this little section right here to match the colors on the jar. Anytime I'm creating decoupage art and I'm going to be blending rice paper, a napkin, tissue paper, regular paper into paint, I like to take a paintbrush with a little bit of water and tear all around the edges. I personally feel like if you're not doing an exact cut design that goes onto something for a blend, it blends better with the paint when the edges are frayed. And it's a preference. This is just what works best for me. So I took my time going all around the sections where the bottle had the design until it fit perfectly. Then I took my medium and put a decent amount all over the section that I wanted to place our piece in, and used my TDS Decoupage fan brush to apply the TDS Decoupage tissue paper. I'm taking my water bottle and spritzing just a little bit on the back of the tissue paper. I continue to get comments asking, can I do napkins? People, don't do it to a napkin, please. Don't squirt your napkins with water. Please don't squirt them with water, okay? I mean, some people might tell you it's okay, but Brandy over here at the DIY Struggle is telling you don't squirt the back of your napkins and then place it down, okay? Rice paper, tissue paper, and not all of those things are created equal, so keep that in mind, okay? I know that my products, it's good to go with, okay? I set the bottle off to the side to dry and then grab some medium and some mica powder. Now, you could obviously do this. I've shared this also, this technique a lot. You can do this with multiple colors, but I wanted to kind of create my top coat with a sheen and a little bit of a shine, and glitter can get messy. I mean, mica powder can get messy too, but it holds up better for me when I use Mod Podge. I put some in this mix, just a tiny bit, because the more mica powder you use, the more that color will overtake everything. So the white just went over everything enough to blend it, or silver, just to blend everything and add a little bit of glimmer onto it. I let this dry and went and added a little bit of twine. And I don't know why I didn't film that part, but I just put a little bit of twine around the bottom. Put some twine on there, okay? Add some tacky glue, it'll be fine. And then I found some of my wine cork lid fairy lights. That's what I'm calling them. And I shoved them down in there. And look how amazing these pop through those little sections that we etched out. And the glow with the mica powder. This piece is simply stunning. If you're looking for more glassware DIY ideas, check out this video right here. And as always, people, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. And until next time.